Hello, hello, and welcome to the Passionate Power Couple Summit. I am your host, Latoya J.R. Borders, and today I have Hassani with me, and you guys are going to love him. He is one half of a super powerful couple. And hi, Hassani.
Hello, how are you?
Finding you. I just want you to introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are and what it is that you do.
Well, my name is Hassani Pettiford, and I am the co-founder, along with my wife, Danielle, of Couples Academy. And Couples Academy is a relationship-based learning institute which is committed to helping couples by placing them on the path to fulfillment. Both of us have been married for about 14 years, but I would say about 2-3 years into our marriage, we've gone through major crisis, and we were on the verge of divorce, and we decided that we wanted to do something different. So we began to focus on us. We went through an intensive and decided that we wanted to become marriage and family coaches so that we could strengthen our own relationship. But we realized that these principles and techniques were so good that we wanted to share them with others, and so thus created Couples Academy. And so I personally am a marriage coach and an infidelity recovery specialist, and really work with couples who have been impacted by infidelity and are looking to figure out how they can get back on track and really restore their marriages and themselves as individuals and live the life that they've always wanted to live. And that's what we do. We've written 14 books. We do seminars and retreats and intensives all over the country. And we're just excited about the work that God has given us.
I love that. I was first introduced to you guys through the 7 days of, was it Extraordinary Sex or Great Sex? And just Google it because it'll pop up. You guys need to definitely see that. It can take a relationship to another level very quickly.
Yes, we enjoy that.
So the first question I have today is, which area is paramount to staying connected to your spouse? Mentally, spiritually, emotionally, or physically?
You know, when I read that question, I said, really, they all are important. And depending upon where you are in your relationship will thus determine what you need. I usually say that there's two things that we have. We have a relationship and then we have a marriage. They're not the same. They require a different set of skills. They require a different level of expectations and commitment. Your marriage speaks to your emotional connection, your sexual fulfillment, your ability to effectively communicate, learning how to merge personalities. Your marriage deals with bills and responsibilities and obligations and family planning and just delegation of responsibilities, all of those different things. Mm-hmm. And so there's some people who have great relationships, but on paper have horrible marriages. Or they have great marriages on paper, everything's taken care of, but horrible relationships. And so it's important for you to assess where you are, much like when dealing with finances, you assess your assets and your liabilities to determine your net worth. Well, what is your relational net worth? Where are your deficits? Where are your strengths? If you're connected great emotionally, but spiritually things aren't in order, then that becomes your focus. If you're connected physically, but spiritually not in place, then that becomes your focus. So I think that the perfect balance between all of them are important.
I love that. I never thought about it as separate entities like your marriage and relationship, but when you describe it that way, that makes so much sense. Because there has been times when my marriage has been great, but my relationship was lacking. And then our relationship was on point, but a lot of other stuff was falling under the wayside, and it felt like it was messing up the relationship part. That makes so much sense.
It's interesting because, when we're dating each other, we spend so much time and levels of intimacy we establish between ourselves. And it's all about me and my babe, me and my boo. And then when we say I do, we give up the relationship for the sake of the marriage. And so the relationship becomes the lowest thing on the totem pole. And it's all about our work, our purpose, our assignment, church, extracurricular activities, raising the kids, taking care of all of the issues of life. And then we give our partner leftovers. So that's why we have empty relationships.
That makes so much sense. Wow. You just woke my game completely up early this morning. Okay. So the next question is, how do you keep a great connection with your spouse or reconnected if it's lost?
I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to the biggest issue that couples struggle with: quality time.
Mm.
As we just said, you give up your relationship for the sake of the marriage and you shift focus. And so if the majority of your time is spent with other people, obviously because you have a job, but you don't prioritize the time with your partner, it becomes a problem. Now think about this. In terms of time, if you have a job or have a business, you spend pretty much 8 to 10 hours a day developing relationships, communicating with coworkers, employees, customers. And if you're there every day, you form great relationships with people. However, statistically within the United States and the UK, the average couple only spends 4 minutes communicating. Could you imagine 4 minutes out of a 24-hour day talking to your partner? The question becomes, what are you talking about? Most of us talk about work and we talk about kids. So the level of intimacy that we once had is no longer there. So it's about prioritizing your time. One of the things that I take couples through is something that we call time blocking. Really looking at a weekly schedule and prioritizing quality time with your spouse. And though it doesn't represent quantity of time, because the majority of your time's doing other things, if you prioritize quality time, it makes up for the lack of hours that you have involved in everything else.
I love that. I need that.
And let me just take that a step further, right? So if we have quality time that we prioritize, what are we doing with that time? One of the things that couples no longer do the way they once did is date. So when our kids came around, it seemed as though we took off our husband hat and our wife hat and we put on a mommy and daddy hat. And the love that we gave to each other, we're now giving to the child. The resources that we now gave to one another, we now give to the child. The attention, the affection, the compassion that we once had for one another, we now give to the child. And so we're loving down, right? We're loving vertically down instead of horizontally. What happens is once those children become of age and move out, now we become like two strangers living in the same household. We don't know each other. And so we think that, you know what, we have children now. We need to give all of our time and attention to the children and become the best parents that we can be. But children understand when they are in a loveless household, meaning they feel the vertical love coming down, but they don't feel the love and intimacy with the partners. The best gift that you could ever give your child is the love that you have for your spouse, because they benefit from that expression and that exchange. And if they don't feel it, they don't feel as if they're in a safe environment. So that is the best investment. That is the best legacy, the relationship that you have with one another. And then the rest will take care of itself. So one of the principles we live by is this: partners first, parents second. Because when you got married, you were partners first. Then you became parents. So that works vertically up and down. In-laws oftentimes get in the way. They impact our relationships. But if we have the principle of partners first, parents second, we win. If we have the principle of partners first, parents with our own children second, we win. So in essence, we're keeping the marriage, the relationship, as the priority.
I love how you put that. I never thought about it in the way you just said it, but it's super perfect because me and my husband, we have a 2-year and a 4-year-old. We were very child-centered for a minute. And then like, something gotta change. I'm feeling neglected. You feeling neglected. And I promise you, the minute we decided like we're going to be good first, it seemed like the overflows to our kids was just inevitable. And
Absolutely.
It made our kids feel safer. It made our kids feel more loved, and not even just less attached to us because they were still attached to us. It just felt like our whole household was happy and not just a piece of it.
Yes, absolutely.
The next question is, what strategies have you suggested or employed yourself that have successfully helped create longevity in marriages?
Well, in terms of a specific strategy, let's just go back to the dating piece. Mm-hmm. So when we were overwhelmed with children, overwhelmed with work, giving each other no time, our relationship suffered. So we wanted to put more into our level of commitment to one another. So we established that Fridays would be our date night. Now, this is our plan that we have created and has worked tremendously well. If this seems like a huge quantum leap for you, that's fine. As long as you're moving in this direction, you're in a great place. So if Friday is date night, generally every month there are about 4 Fridays in a month. we decided that the first and third Fridays would be my responsibility. Second and fourth Fridays would be Danielle's responsibility. So I was responsible for creating those dates on those weeks. She was responsible for creating dates on her weeks. And so what it did was it created a sense of anticipation and excitement because it was something to look forward to. We never would tell each other what we were doing. There was an element of surprise. So that feeling of newness that we once had when we were dating came back into the relationship. And so this is how we kind of worked it. We said, you know what? Because finances are an issue, we're going to have an inside date and an outside date. So my first Friday is outside. My third Friday is inside. Her second Friday is outside. Her fourth Friday is inside. So then we got a piece of paper and said, we each had to come up with 12 date ideas that we ourselves individually would love to do. Why? Because what I consider to be romantic may be different than Danielle. What I consider to be exciting and a thrill may be different than hers. So I wrote down my list, she wrote down her list. So now if we both have 12, that's 24, right? There's 12 months in a year. If we're doing 2 outside dates per month for 12 months, that's 24 outside dates. So we did the same thing when it came to inside dates. What would we want to do if we were in the house? And so what we would do is we would have this calendar and the schedule, and we would check off all the things that we wanted to do on a weekly basis over the course of those months, and we completed a full year's calendar. The level of passion and excitement and thrill and newness and fun was brought back into our relationship. And guess what? They say when couples who pray together stay together. But we also believe that couples who play together stay together. Like if I'm going to be with you for the rest of my life, I want to enjoy you. I don't want to be miserable and married. I want to be fulfilled within my relationship. So we've created a space for us to have fun with one another by fulfilling purpose, fulfilling passion, and doing things that we both individually like. And that really has contributed to the longevity of our relationship.
Wow. You don't understand I'm going to do this with my husband. I love that because it always feels like it's on one person, whoever is not like crazy that month. Oh, babe, you plan all the dates. I love that you and your wife take turns, and the inside and outside date is some next level stuff because finances are a problem when you have kids and business and work and bills. So, wow. I hope you guys are listening to that because he gonna put your marriage on a whole nother level just with that one thing. Wow. I'm super juiced right now. Why is sex and intimacy so important in a happy marriage?
Because that's the one thing that I share with you as a spouse that I can't share with anyone else. That's the one thing. I mean, if we're not going to have sex, why are we married? Not to say that you get married for sex, but that becomes a major, major benefit. And what we have found is that usually men and women are at odds when it comes to the area of sexuality. When issues take place in a relationship, the first thing that's impacted is the sex life. And what happens is we wind up falling into different types of sexual marital patterns that present a problem. For instance, one sexual marital pattern is what we would call duty sex. That's when we're having sex because it's a duty, it's a responsibility, it's my obligation, it's my conjugal right. And so what happens is if it's duty and not delight, it's not mutually fulfilling for either partner. I have seen women who have said to me, or spoken to women who have said to me, the touch that once stimulated now is the touch that repulses me. And every time we have sex, I hate him even more. I become emotionally disconnected that much more because we're emotionally not in a good space. I remember it was T.D. Jakes who said that sexuality without intimacy feels like rape. And oftentimes women feel raped in their own marriages because they're doing something out of obligation that they don't desire to do. Meanwhile, men are frustrated because one thing about men, if you really begin to understand men, sexual fulfillment is an emotional need for a man. It's an emotional need. Men need to feel needed. Men want to feel wanted. And when a woman is engaging in sex with a man out of obligation, he doesn't feel desired. He doesn't feel wanted. And that's a part of the emotional experience that men go through. So if it's duty sex, it's just not working for him. So many men have said, I'd rather masturbate than have sex with a woman who feels like a bump on a log. And so that is a sexual marital pattern that can be devastating to a relationship. Another one is what we call old shoe sex. One of the things I ask women all the time, I say women, when I do seminars, how many of you by show of hands have more than 10 pair of shoes in your closet? Of course, every hand goes up. And then I say, well, what about 20? 90% of the hands go up. How about 50? Half the hands go up. I said, how many of you have 100 pair of shoes? And you have quite a few hands. And I said to them, I said, what would happen if you were forced to, for the rest of your life, wear one pair of shoes with every outfit, whether you're going to work, going to church, going to the beach, going to the park, whether it's winter, fall, summer, or spring, regardless of the season, regardless of the occasion, you are forced to wear one pair of shoes. These women would go bananas because you have shoes that represent different things and go with different fashions and styles. It's very meticulous how you pick your shoes. But oftentimes our sex has become like that old pair of shoes. It's monotonous, it's predictable, it's boring, it's the same way every single time. There's no thrill, there's no passion, there's no excitement. It's just blah. And when you've entered into that state, it can cause major problems in a relationship. And so therefore, it's important that you bring newness into your relationship, right? So it's all about having more sex and better sex. And the better it is, the more you want it, and it brings a level of excitement. The next negative emotional or sexual marital pattern, I hope I'm not taking up too much of your time, but this is such good stuff, is what we will call the sexless marriage. Now, by definition, a sexless marriage is a marriage that has sex, where couples have sex a minimum of once a month or 10 times a year. That speaks to a sexless marriage. I can say that I've unfortunately counseled couples, I'm talking young couples in their mid-30s who haven't had sex in upwards of 2 years. It's just like, well, is there anything physically wrong? No, it was the emotional component. It was the relational component. And when your relationship is not in a good place, you can forget sex. It's not going to happen. So I tell couples, focus on your relationship, and the sex will naturally take care of itself. Last thing on sex. Sex has 4 purposes. Procreation, recreation, communication, and release. It is important to know what you are bringing to the bedroom every time you have sex. Sexual confusion takes place when I am looking for release. My wife is looking for communication. Well, my style and my approach is going to be very different. So what naturally and normally would work now becomes a little bit awkward and frustrating. And why can't we figure this out? Because we brought a different expectation, a different behavior, a different element to the bedroom, and there's friction and conflict, and it just doesn't work. So understanding what your partner needs in that moment will help you to have a more fulfilling sexual experience.
I love that you said understanding what your partner needs, because I feel like a lot of times we're not. You're not really paying attention. Especially if you've been together for a long time, you just assuming, okay, this is what they want, so I'm just going to do that. It's an assumption happening, and I feel like that comes from a lack of communication. That's really
absolutely.
Okay, so the next question is, what is the number one thing stopping couples from having that long, happy marriage?
At the end of the day, I believe that one of the biggest challenges that couples struggle with is unresolved hurts and pains that they haven't healed from. And I think that if we don't properly deal with issues in our past, they will poison our future. At the end of the day, you have 3 things, right? It's the time paradigm: past, present, and future. We want to move forward into our future, and oftentimes we're stuck in our past. And the more we think about our past, one thing we know is that thoughts impact our emotions. So right now, if you were to give me 1 minute, and if I were to have you focus on your deepest, most painful, agonizing thoughts, it would immediately, within moments, cause you to feel a certain type of way. You would feel down, depressed, sad, anger, enraged. However, if I have you recollect the most wonderful experiences that you've ever shared with your partner, all of a sudden I could see physiologically changes taking place. You're smiling, your energy's up, you're perked up, you're excited, you're ready to move. Well, oftentimes we get stuck in negative thought patterns about our past, and we can't look at the new person that we're with because we're still reminded about who they were in their past. And if you're stuck in your past, it prevents you from moving forward into your future. I say every step that you take and every move that you make, you're eating your future, digesting it as your present, and releasing it as your past. I'll say that again. Every time you move forward in life, you are eating your future, digesting it as your present, and releasing it as your past. So, question, if there are two holes, one that comes in and one that goes out, where would you rather eat from? Most people are eating from their past, and they wonder why their relationships aren't working out. So in order to move forward into your future, both of you have to hold hands and take a trip into your past together. Reevaluate, begin to work on, to discuss, to have the aha moment, to explain, to come to an understanding about the past so that we can have resolution to those things, make certain course corrections so that we can slowly transition into a better future. But if I'm stuck in my past and all I see is negativity, I believe that my future will be nothing more than a continuation of my past. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot
So
of sense.
we have to recognize that marriage is about moments. They can be pleasurable moments or miserable moments. We make the decision. I think oftentimes we rob our present moment with constantly being stuck and going back and forth from our past to our future, from our past to our future. And we don't take the time to embrace the present moment. Every day that I wake up, I say, my wife says, my children say, today belongs to me. It must submit to my will. And my will is in perfect alignment with the will of God. Every single time I wake up, before I get out of the bed, I create my day in my mind. What is the best version of myself? How should I respond on my job, with my spouse, with my children? What is the best version of me? Whatever that is, if I can visualize it and see it, whatever feeling that I get in that moment, during my meditation, during my prayer, I'm going to hold on to that feeling all throughout the day. So when challenges come, when thoughts come uncontrollably, I'm intentional in my approach to my day so that I can have the best day that I can ever have. Because at the end of the day, the past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. All I have is today. So if I'm constantly thinking about what you did and who you were, and I'm not focusing on now, I'll never have what I ultimately want.
That is so great. And a few people come to my mind. And so I have to ask this question. How do you stay in the present when your past just keeps popping back up? How do you keep that past in the past and stay in your present? Because I feel like that's affecting a lot of relationships, a lot of marriages.
I think we have to do a better job of paying attention rather than being in intention. What does that mean? If I'm paying attention, that means my observation skills are increasing. So let's just say my past partner, my current partner, who's hurt me in my past, she's right here in my present. But as I'm looking at her, all I can think about is yesterday, yesteryear, the last decade we've had. And when I look at you, I'm just sickened and disgusted because all I see is the old you. But I'm not in full attention, in full awareness, because I'm now stuck in my mind. My mind is a record of my past. So if I'm naturally going to think thoughts and my mind is a reflection of my past, I'm constantly going into my past. Or my mind can be a roadmap to my future. But if I'm always stuck in my future, think about it. People who are depressed, people who are full of all types of emotional pains are thinking about their past. People who fear and are in anxiety are constantly thinking about their future. So both of us have negative associations with our past and our future. So you've got to stop thinking so much. You've got to calm your mind down. We think 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day, hundreds of thoughts per minute. You've got to slow down the thought pattern from past to present and focus on your future. So what I do with my clients, I take them through a process of teaching them how to concentrate. The power of concentration is everything. And so through techniques that I take them through, mind techniques, they realize, oh my God, I really do have control. I can change my day. I can change my relationship, and everything will begin to take care of itself. So there's no simple, quick answer to such an in-depth, complicated problem and issue. It takes repetition. Repetition is the mother of all mastery. When you begin to chip away at something every single day and begin to create a habit and a routine of doing the right thing, you will get the result that you're looking for. But if you try something one time and say, oh, well, that didn't work out, let me try something else, then you failed yourself. You failed the relationship, and you're not giving your all to what you want. Everything in your life takes time, commitment, and dedication. We commit ourselves to our jobs. We commit ourselves to our educational goals. We commit ourselves to that goal we want to accomplish. We commit ourselves to the gym, but we don't have the same stick-to-itivism, if I could say, when it comes to our marriage. We want to give up. We want to cave in. We want to quit because it's taken too long. It's just too hard. And why should it take all that? Things should just be easy. We have been lied to. You need to have a marriage mindset. And in your marriage mindset, there are certain components that you need to have that give you that staying power. And if you have that and make the mental paradigm shift, you will be successful.
I love that. You need to do it repetitiously. I love that. And sometimes you'll do it for a little while and you see great results and then you stop. I never understand that, even from myself. You see great results, you go work out, you see great results, and then you just stop. The commitment level has to be there as well. Committing to it full out. I love that.
Because it's like a diet. It's like a diet. I want to lose 20 pounds, so I'm going to starve myself or only eat, these types of foods till I get to my end result. And then once I get there, I stop. But when I stop, I go back to the same weight that I just came from, plus a few pounds more, because it wasn't a lifestyle change. So we have to stop this start, stop mentality and make things a part of our normal daily routine. Someone once said, Mike Murdoch, that the secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. So I can determine what a person is going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, just by looking at their daily habits, right? So it's not about a short stint of time that you spend doing something, but what are you doing on a daily and consistent basis that will bring you to your future end result?
I like that. Yes, because that makes you want to look at yourself and say, what am I doing? Because where am I going to be in 5 years if I continuously do this? In my marriage, in my life, in my health, whatever area that is. That's great. My last question is, do you think you need a vision to create a unique and extraordinary marriage?
Well, the Bible says that my people perish for a lack of knowledge, and where there's no vision, the people can't prosper. So absolutely, a vision is everything, right? And I think that it's important that we become citizens of the future, not just residents of the present. You've got to be able to look 5, 10, 15 years beyond your situation and beyond your circumstances, because everything that you do on a daily basis should be in perfect alignment with the ultimate goal. If it's not, you're just wasting time. So that means living a life of intentionality. And so it's important that a husband and wife come together and devise a plan, craft a plan. One of the awesome things mentioned in Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Principles of Highly Effective People, he talks about the purpose of creating a mission statement. And he says, generally speaking, there were some corporations, not all, that would have a company meeting. And they would have everyone there, from the president and CEO, upper middle management, regular employees, all the way down to the janitorial staff. They all came together. And so they had an opportunity to find out what the needs and the interests and the desires of every member of that organization were. And from that, crafted a mission statement that would represent and reflect the needs and the hearts and the minds of all members of that organization, right? Now, what is the benefit of doing that? Well, if upper management were to hand down some new policy or some new rule to those who are kind of working, under them, they become frustrated because they're like, these jokers, they don't know what we're doing every day. They don't understand our reality. And here they come with some new policy and procedure that's not going to work anyway. Mm-hmm. But when you have the synergy and what we call the mastermind of a community of people who are sharing their thoughts and perspectives and can take thoughts, if you will, and crystallize them into ideas that can manifest into vision, you've reached the sweet spot. And so I encourage couples all the time to embrace the power of the marriage mastermind, because both of us individually have our own perspectives, our own interpretations, our own thoughts, and those thoughts have been shaped by past experiences, upbringings, former relationships, our worldview. And so oftentimes we only see our own reality and we think that we're always right and our partner is always wrong. But when we're able to take the best of our thoughts and merge them together, and through the power of what I call marital negotiation, craft a vision that benefits us as a collective, we win. So now both of us are now connected like glue because we're attached to something that's bigger and greater than ourselves that we're both striving for.
I love that. I love that you say marriage negotiation instead of, I think you say sacrifice. I love that you say negotiation because it feels like we all are winning.
Well, let me just say something on that note, because I had to say this. I think one of the biggest issues that married couples have is that they've been taught incorrectly. We're taught that, you got to compromise in order to make a relationship work, and you got to sacrifice for your partner. And though those may help to resolve short-term problems and create a solution short-term, long-term it's problematic. To sacrifice, to compromise means to have a win-lose scenario. So you're willing to lose so that your partner may win. Now, that may be fine, right? Occasionally. But generally speaking, what we find is that one of the two partners subscribes to sacrifice and compromise more than the other. So let's just take that as a snapshot and extend that 5-10 years out. One's always losing for the other person to always win. It creates an imbalance in the relationship. And so it gets to the point where the loser goes rogue and says, you know what, I can't take this anymore. I'm not willing to lose anymore. And so the one who's always been winning is just like, well, what's going on? Like, why would you interrupt a system that has always worked? Well, Joker, it's worked for you, but not for me. And so now you have a mutiny on your hands and you have to create a brand new situation because you've just entered into crisis. So marriage negotiation is a win-win scenario. If you've ever closed on a home, if you've ever done a business deal, merged companies together, there's a negotiation back and forth, which means until we both are in enthusiastic agreement, until we both have our needs met in this particular situation, which is negotiation, then we got to continue to stay on the drawing board to figure something out. Because if it's not working for me, it's not working for us. Now, in life, there are things that you do comply with, but ultimately what I'm saying is ideally, marriage negotiation can help you overcome any issue: finances, parenting, sex, communication, anything, if you use the tool. The question becomes, well, Hassani, does it work? Well, it'll work if you work it. You got to put the work in. It's just not going to happen on its own. And so when you make a commitment to using the skills and principles that you've been taught today from me, as well as all of the other experts that have been on this show, your marriage will soar.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was perfect. I want to implore you guys to follow this man because you have no idea the levels and the heights that he can take your marriage. The depths at which he's explaining things, nobody else is doing that. Understand that the value that you're getting right now, a lot of people are not going to get. A lot of people are not going to ever know simple techniques, but real in-depth techniques that can take their marriage and their relationship to where they want it to go. Thank you, Hassani. I really, really appreciate you. I know that you have a free gift for everybody, so can you let them know about that? Tell them what that is.
Yes, 2 free gifts. Number 1, if you go to my website, which is couplesacademy.org, okay, I want to offer you a free 30-minute discovery session. Some people like counseling, some people don't, but I want to give you an opportunity just to share your thoughts and for me to help you come up with a game plan for your marriage that becomes scalable and sustainable. So 30-minute counseling session for free. Let's call it a coaching session. And number two, I want all of you right now, if you have an Android or an iPhone, to go to your app store and download our brand new Couples Academy app. It is in beta. We're going to officially launch it January 2017. So for the next few months, you're going to experience what the world is yet awaiting for. There's a lot of great content on there. We have our podcast that we're constantly building, our 24/7 network of all of our videos, trainings. We do live events on there. So please download the app. Our services are, you can find out more about our services there. And it's just an awesome tool that you can use for your marriage.
No lie, you guys. This man gives out content like nobody else, and he is explaining to you. It's not something regurgitated. It's not something that's just repetitive and the same thing. It's actionable things that you can implement in your marriage today that will help you, could possibly save your marriage. Don't play around. Don't sleep on it. Make sure you get it. It's going to be in the link below this video. Thank you guys, and have a great day.
Thank you.